The parish has always struggled to meet its full quota. This is a ex-mining town, and the main demographic, if you like, of our congregations are retired working class people, and money isn't hugely abundant.
To our surprise, we found when the Common Fund was launched that we had quite a drop in what we had been paying for the share.
There was an overwhelming feeling that we should be generous because we had the chance to be. And in a previous role, I've been in receipt of that kind of generosity, and it's always been a really good thing.
The Changing Room Counselling Service was started some 4.5 years ago, and it arose out of some conversations that we had and workshops that we did with the community that was really asking the fundamental question about how does this church, how does this parish interact and engage with local people and where people are at. And out of those conversations came the sense that mental health was a serious issue. I did 4 funerals in the summer of 2017 that were all of people who had committed suicide.
David contacted me in 2017. I'd never heard of him, and I didn't know him. And so when he said, would you help us? And I said, yeah.
So this is the choir vestry, which gave the name to the counselling service, the Changing Room.
Then he then asked me what I needed, and I said, all I need really is a room and 2 chairs.
There is no provision for people suffering from poor mental health within Rugeley. People had to go to Cannock, often on the bus. People, if they weren't well enough, they would miss their turn.
The pandemic came 2 years ago, and a lot of counselling stopped. Even NHS stopped for a good while. We didn't, because we, with the help of the university, we trained those counsellors, and they were really, new to all this, and they just went for it. Mostly the phone, because most clients only have a phone. So at the moment, there are 35 people on the register.
So since we began, it's probably 250, getting on for 300 people.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. It's funny how God goes ahead, isn't it? Because we then heard that our neighbouring parish, Colton, was involved with the Generous Hope programme, and they wanted to support our parish specifically because of the Changing Room Counselling Service, which was a fantastic thing. And it really underlines, I think, both the spirit of generosity that we all need, but also the usefulness of deaneries, because we're in the same deanery, and the idea that actually we could grow partnerships, volunteers from Colton, it's only, the other side of the railway. And so that is a really nice avenue for partnership, and who knows where it might go next.
When it transpired later at a subsequent meeting that Changing Rooms might be a recipient, it was amazing how many people knew someone who had been referred to Changing Rooms, and so that just seemed like a really good place for the money to go, and they're only just down the road, which is wonderful. So lovely to be able to partner with a church that is just so close.
It's very organic, and because it's not, we're not slaves to grant applications and other funders' agendas and priorities, we have been able to be really, really flexible. And I think that's a real lesson. I think for any local parish that wants to do something, but inevitably somebody will ask, usually a treasurer, how much is it going to cost? Where's the money coming from? We've done a couple of fundraising events, but those have really been about raising awareness locally. So the sponsored static bike ride outside Tesco, the skydive, all those sorts of things really have been icing on the cake, but really about awareness raising, and the money that came in has been very useful. So, for example, at the moment we're thinking, well, we should be paying the councillors some of the, something towards their petrol. If they're coming from Stoke, with fuel being the price it is now, we ought to be doing that, and hopefully I think we will be able to do that. But every step, it's a step of trust and and faith, and God honours that. The Generous Hope program came along, and we heard from Colton. I mean, what a blessing. What does that tell us? It tells us that our bottom line is going to be a little easier, but actually what does it tell us about the nature of God's heart? And it reminds us that being church is an adventure of faith, where God says, set your imagination free and see what you could do for me, and I will walk with you.